The grand assembly hall stretched upward for what seemed like miles. Crystalline walls pulsed with strange light, while thousands of alien beings filled the ascending tiers. Ambassador Marcus Webb stood at the center of the circular platform, completely alone. Above him, 9 massive thrones held the Council of 9, creatures so ancient they had witnessed stars being born. Marcus felt every eye upon him. Some of those eyes were familiar, like human eyes. Others were compound lenses the size of dinner plates. Still others seemed to be pure energy contained in magnetic fields. 643 species had sent representatives to watch this moment. All of them wanted to see what would happen when the newest species in the galaxy faced judgment. The air itself seemed to vibrate with tension. Marcus adjusted his gray suit jacket, deliberately simple compared to the elaborate displays of biological wonder and technological advancement surrounding him. He had chosen the outfit carefully. No weapons. No technology visible on his body. Just a man in a plain suit, representing an entire world. High Arbiter Velmoth spoke first. His voice rumbled through the chamber like distant thunder, translated instantly into thousands of languages. By technology, Marcus barely understood. The Velrothi was immense, his body covered in tentacles that shifted through colors Marcus had no names for. According to the briefings, Velmoth had held his position for 3,000 years. The human delegation consists of one individual? The contempt in that translated voice was impossible to miss. Marcus met the creature's gaze without flinching. I am sufficient for this discussion, High Arbiter. Laughter rippled through the galleries. Not human laughter, but clicks and whistles and sounds that made Marcus's chest vibrate. They were mocking him. He had expected that. Earth's xenopsychology team had predicted it perfectly. Humanity has been summoned to answer for violations of Galactic Statute 447, subsection 12. Velmoth continued. The unauthorized colonization of 14 star systems within the disputed territories. The deployment of artificial intelligence beyond Class 3 restrictions. The possession of weaponized quantum entanglement devices. Marcus remained silent. His instructions had been clear. Let them talk first. Let them reveal what they thought they knew. The penalty for these violations is clear, announced another council member. This one appeared to be made of pure energy, contained within a shimmering magnetic field. Humanity will surrender all colonies in the disputed territories. Your artificial intelligence systems will be dismantled under council supervision. Your quantum research will be transferred to the Galactic Science Directorate. Furthermore, Earth's biosphere will be placed under protective quarantine for the next 500 standard years. 500 years. Marcus kept his face carefully neutral, but inside, anger burned. Protective quarantine was a pleasant way of saying prison. Earth would be cut off from the rest of the galaxy, unable to expand, unable to trade, unable to grow. Humanity would be caged like animals in a zoo, while other species decided their fate. Do you understand the terms? Velmoth asked. Do you accept the Council's judgment? This was the moment. Marcus had traveled 6 months through space to reach this chamber. 6 months of preparation, of studying every species represented here, of running simulations and scenarios. Earth's best minds had worked tirelessly to prepare him for this exact question. He reached slowly into his jacket pocket. Instantly, the chamber exploded into action. Weapon systems locked onto him from a dozen different directions. Energy shields materialized around the Council of 9. Security drones descended from hidden ports in the ceiling, their weapons humming with lethal intent. Marcus withdrew a small data crystal and held it up between 2 fingers. Before I respond, he said calmly, I would like to share something with the Council. A bit of human history. Velmoth's tentacles twisted with visible irritation. This chamber is not a classroom for primitive species. Humor me, Marcus replied. Something in his tone made several nearby aliens lean forward with sudden interest. "It is relevant to your judgment." The High Arbiter gestured impatiently. Marcus tossed the crystal toward the central podium. Gravitational fields caught it, scanned it for threats, and finding none, projected its contents into the air above the chamber. Images appeared. A blue and green planet, achingly beautiful against the darkness of space. Earth. Earth as you know it, Marcus said. Population 11 billion. Technologically advanced enough to be noticed by your sensors 40 years ago. Diplomatically naive enough to accept your invitation to join the galactic community. The images shifted. Cities appeared in the holographic display, then vanished in blinding flashes of nuclear fire. Oceans boiled. Continents cracked and burned. The assembled aliens watched in silence as an entire world destroyed itself. What the Council may not know, Marcus continued, is that this is Earth's fourth global civilization. The previous three destroyed themselves. The last time, we came within 6,000 individuals of total extinction. The chamber had grown completely quiet. Even the dismissive clicking and whistling had stopped. Every being present was watching the images of Earth's self-inflicted apocalypse. We rebuilt from that, Marcus said. We studied our own history with the intensity that most species reserve for their enemies. We learned something that I don't think any of you have truly understood about humanity. He paused, letting the weight of those terrible images hang in the air. The burning cities, the poisoned oceans, the skeletal remains of a civilization that had reached too far and fallen too hard. We learned that sometimes the only way to survive is to walk away from a bad deal, no matter the cost. The energy being on the Council flickered with what might have been confusion. You would refuse the Council's judgment? The consequences would be severe. Marcus smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Several of the nearest aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "Let me tell you about consequences," he said quietly. "And then you can decide if you really want to enforce your judgment." The security drones had not moved, but Marcus noticed several Council members exchanging glances through whatever sensory organs they possessed. He had their complete attention now. The mocking laughter had died. The contempt had faded. Now there was only uncertainty and the beginning of something that might have been fear. 3 months ago, Marcus said, your enforcement fleet attempted to seize one of our colony ships in the Kepler 442 system. 12 of your vessels surrounded the ship and demanded immediate surrender. A lawful action under Council authority, Velnoth began. The ship jumped quantum space, Marcus interrupted. His voice cut through the High Arbiter's words like a knife. Not through a gate. Not using any of your approved methods. It simply folded space around itself and vanished. He let that statement hang in the air for several seconds. Your fleet spent 2 weeks searching for debris. Assuming the primitive humans had accidentally destroyed themselves, attempting faster than light travel. Several Council members were leaning forward now. Their full attention focused on the humans standing alone at the center of their grand chamber. The ship arrived at its destination 4 days later, having crossed 300 light years instantaneously. It sent the message back to Earth using a communication method that does not rely on your relay network. A method you cannot monitor, intercept, or block. The chamber erupted in chaos. The noise in the Grand Assembly Hall was deafening. 643 species. All began shouting or clicking or whistling, or making whatever sounds indicated shock and disbelief in their particular biology. High Arbiter Velnoth was demanding silence, his tentacles flashing through angry colors. But dozens of representatives were already on their feet, demanding explanations. Marcus Webb waited calmly at the center of the platform. He had expected this reaction. The xenopsychology team had predicted chaos at this exact moment in the presentation. Let them panic, the briefing had said. Let them understand that everything they thought they knew about humanity was wrong. Took nearly 5 minutes for order to be restored. When the chamber finally quieted, Velmuth's voice was cold and dangerous. These claims are impossible. Our sensors would have detected such advanced development. Your sensors detect what they are designed to detect, Marcus replied. You have been looking for your own technology reflected back at you. You never considered that we might have developed something completely different. He pulled another data crystal from his pocket. This time, no weapons locked onto him. The Council was too stunned to react with their usual protocols. I am transmitting access codes to one of our deep space observation hosts right now. Your sensors will confirm its existence within the hour. That facility has been monitoring your enforcement fleet maneuvers in the Antares sector for the past 6 months. One of the Council members, a massive creature that looked like it had been carved from living stone, slammed a limb against its throne. This is an act of war. You have been spying on Council military operations. Yes, Marcus agreed simply. Just as you have been monitoring every communication from Earth for the past 40 years. The difference is that you knew you were being observed. We did not extend you the same courtesy. Velmuth's skin rippled through several colors that Marcus had learned indicated extreme agitation in Velrothi communication. You are playing a dangerous game, human. No, High Arbiter. We stopped playing your game. That is what you are struggling to understand. Marcus turned slowly, addressing the entire chamber now. Humanity is not interested in finding our place in your galactic hierarchy. We are not going to spend centuries proving ourselves worthy of basic rights while more established species treat us like children who need guidance. He gestured at the Council. Of 9 on their elevated thrones. Every species in this chamber earned their seat through either military conquest, technological supremacy, or economic dominance. You respect strength. Very well. We are showing you strength. But unlike you, we are giving you a choice about what happens next. What choice? The question came from one of the younger Council members, a being whose crystalline body refracted light into rainbow patterns. She sounded genuinely curious rather than angry. Marcus pulled up a holographic display from the data crystal. Star charts appeared, showing human colonies scattered across a vast region of space. Earth proposes a different relationship with the Galactic Council. Not membership, not subjugation, partnership. We maintain our sovereignty, our colonies, our technology. In exchange, we offer something none of you have. Innovation driven by necessity rather than comfort. Absurd, the stone creature declared. No species operates outside Council authority. The Terminus Collective does, Marcus pointed out. The free merchant guilds do. The wandering clans do. You allow independent factions because they provide services the Council cannot or will not. We are offering to be something similar, but on a much larger scale. Those are small groups, the energy being protested. A few thousand individuals at most. You are talking about an entire species with billions of members. An entire species that has already demonstrated it can and will operate independently whether you approve or not, Marcus said. The question is not whether humanity will continue expanding and developing advanced technology. We will. The question is whether we do it as your partners or as your rivals. Velmuth leaned forward on his throne. And if we choose rivalry? Marcus met the ancient being's gaze without hesitation. Then in 50 years, perhaps 100, humanity will have expanded so far and advanced so much that we will be a peer power to the Council. And we will remember that you tried to cage us when we offered friendship. We will remember every threat, every ultimatum, every attempt to restrict our growth. He paused, letting those words sink into the minds of every being in the chamber. Or you can accept our partnership now. benefit from our innovations, help guide our integration into galactic civilization on equal terms. Not as subjects, not as junior members waiting for permission to speak. As equals. The Council has never recognized a species as equals after less than a century of spaceflight, said the oldest member of the Council, a being so ancient that parts of its body had begun to crystallize. But there was something in its tone that suggested interest rather than outright rejection. Then perhaps it is time the Council adapted, Marcus said quietly. Because the alternative is watching a new power rise that does not respect your authority, does not fear your fleets, and does not need your approval to thrive. The silence that followed was different from the shocked chaos of minutes before. This was the thoughtful quiet of beings who were reassessing everything they believed they knew about the galaxy and humanity's place in it. Finally, Velmoth spoke. "We will need time to discuss your proposal." "Of course," Marcus said. "Take all the time you need. But understand that while you deliberate, humanity continues moving forward. Every day you delay is a day we grow stronger, spread farther, and become more difficult to accommodate into your existing structures." He walked toward the exit platform, then paused and turned back. "Oh, and High Arbiter? Those weaponized quantum entanglement devices you mentioned in your judgment? We call them QE hammers. We have 623 of them positioned in orbit around every major council world, including all 9 of your homeworlds." The chamber exploded into panic. Representatives were screaming. Security drones were activating weapon systems. Energy shields were materializing everywhere. Marcus continued in the same calm voice. "They are on a dead man switch. If I do not send a deactivation code every 72 hours, the system interprets it as Earth being attacked and activates automatically. Just thought you should know." He stepped onto the exit platform and disappeared, leaving behind a chamber full of the galaxy's most powerful beings who suddenly realized they might not be as powerful as they had always believed. 3 levels below the Grand Assembly Hall, in a secure intelligence complex that officially did not exist, Director Raxim stared at holographic displays that were destroying everything he thought he knew about the galaxy. His 6 eyes tracked data streams that should have been impossible. "Show me the Kepler 442 incident again," he ordered. His voice was tight with controlled panic. Analyst Tess manipulated controls with her thought interface. The holographic display shifted, showing the encounter that had happened 3 months earlier. A human colony ship, primitive and slow by galactic standards, surrounded by 12 Council enforcement vessels. The recording showed the moment when the Council commander demanded surrender. Then the colony ship simply stopped existing in that location. "No gate activation," Tess narrated. "No energy signature consistent with known faster than light drives. No quantum distortion that our sensors could detect. The ship folded space around itself, using a method our best physicists still cannot explain. They destroyed themselves," Raxim said, but his voice carried no conviction. He had stopped believing that explanation weeks ago when the evidence started piling up. "We thought so initially," Tess agreed. "But observe this." The display jumped to a different star system 400 light years away. The same colony ship materialized, completely intact. Thousands of humans disembarked onto a thriving settlement that should not have existed on a world the Council had classified as uninhabitable. "That planet has a Class 7 toxic atmosphere," Raxim whispered. "Nothing can survive there without extensive life support." "Had a Class 7 toxic atmosphere," Tess corrected. "The humans terraformed it in 18 months using engineered bacteria and atmospheric processors that work on principles our xenobiology department claims violate fundamental laws of chemistry." Raxim cycled through several emotional states, each one represented by different bioluminescent patterns rippling across his skin. How many systems have they colonized? We have confirmed 41 so far, Tess replied. But the search parameters are extremely difficult. Human technology does not emit the standard signatures we look for. Their power generation, their communications, their propulsion systems, everything is different. It is like they developed along an entirely separate technological evolutionary path. Because they did, said a new voice. Both Raxine and Tess spun to see Counselor IX materializing in the chamber. The artificial intelligence's crystalline matrix cast rainbow patterns across the walls as it moved. Counselor, Raxine said, straightening to attention. I did not realize you were monitoring this analysis. I am monitoring everything related to the human situation, Ix replied. The AI took control of the holographic displays, bringing up streams of data that flowed too rapidly for organic minds to fully process. And I have made a discovery that explains their unexpected advancement. Mathematical formulas and scientific papers filled the air, scrolling past at incredible speed. Most species develop technology in a relatively predictable pattern, Ix explained. They discover fundamental principles in a certain order, build upon them systematically, and eventually reach a plateau where advancement becomes incremental rather than revolutionary. We use this predictable development curve to assess potential threats and estimate technological capabilities. The standard development model, Tess said. Every intelligence agency in the galaxy uses it. Exactly. But humans did not follow that curve. Ix highlighted several human research papers. When I analyzed their scientific literature, which they make freely available to anyone willing to look, I found something extraordinary. They pursued dozens of incompatible theoretical frameworks simultaneously. Raxim leaned closer to the display. That would create massive inefficiencies. Wasted resources on dead-end research. In the short term, yes, Ix agreed. But across centuries, it means they never became locked into a single technological paradigm. When they discovered that quantum mechanics did not integrate well with their gravity theories, most species would have chosen one framework or the other. Humans developed practical applications for both and kept searching for a unified theory. They are still searching, but in the meantime, they built technology that exploits the contradictio. Ends between the theories. The implications were staggering. Ragzine pulled up the data on human quantum drives, the technology that had allowed their colony ship to simply vanish from Council sensors. These drives should not work according to standard physics. He said, they work according to human physics, Ix corrected, which is based on the assumption that the universe does not care about theoretical elegance. They built drives that function, even if they do not fully understand why they function. Then they kept improving them through trial and error rather than waiting for complete theoretical understanding. Tess was scrolling through more data, her expression growing increasingly troubled. Counselor, if this pattern holds across their entire technological base, if they continue developing at this rate, in 50 years, perhaps less, they will have technology we cannot even conceptualize. Ix finished. Because they are not trying to perfect our technological path. They are creating their own path, and it leads in directions we never considered exploring. Raxine felt the weight of that statement settling over him like a physical burden. We need to inform the full council immediately. If humanity continues unchecked, they will become a pure power whether we approve or not, Ix said. The only question is whether they become a pure power that views us as partners or as obstacles. Far above, in a secure communication room, Marcus Webb was having a very different conversation. Admiral Jessica Torres appeared in holographic form. Transmitted through the quantum communication network the Council did not know existed and could not intercept. You really told them about the QE hammers? Jessica asked. She looked exhausted. Coordinating humanity's scattered colonies while maintaining absolute communication security was taking its toll. I told them we have 623 weapons positioned around their homeworlds. Marcus replied, which is technically true if you count the monitoring satellites as weapons. Jessica raised an eyebrow. We have 6 actual QE hammers, total, and they are positioned in deep space, not in orbit around council worlds. But they do not know that, Marcus said. And the monitoring satellites do exist exactly where I claimed. The threat assessment is functionally identical. If they attack Earth, we can still eliminate multiple council worlds before they stop us. They know it. That knowledge is enough. It is a hell of a bluff, Marcus. It is not a bluff. It is strategic ambiguity. He leaned back in his chair. The satellites can be weaponized if necessary. The technology exists. Whether we have done it already or could do it in the future makes little practical difference to their threat calculations. And if they call our bluff anyway? Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then we show them what happens when you try to cage a species that has already survived its own apocalypse 3 times. We make the cost of victory higher than any rational power would be willing to pay. Jessica nodded slowly, understanding what he was not saying directly. Earth had contingency plans that went far beyond the QE hammers. Plans that would make any council victory functionally meaningless. How are the colonies responding to the withdrawal order? Marcus asked. Mixed reactions. The outer settlements are enthusiastic about finally standing up to council authority. The core worlds are nervous about potential retaliation. But everyone agrees we cannot accept the original terms. Good. Unity is critical right now. Marcus pulled up a star chart showing human expansion. What is the status of the Sirius project? Jessica's expression grew more serious. Ahead of schedule. If we need to demonstrate our capabilities, we can have a functional prototype in 6 weeks. Let us hope it does not come to that. But if it does? Marcus met her eyes through the holographic connection. If it comes to that, we show the council exactly what humans are capable of when we stop being polite and start being honest about our capabilities. The message reached Earth 3 days after Marcus delivered his ultimatum to the council. It traveled through quantum communication channels that the Galactic Council did not know existed and could not monitor even if they discovered them. Dr. Robert Kim, head of Earth's Department of Xenopolitical Strategy, read the message 3 times before he could accept what it said. They rejected the partnership proposal, he said aloud, even though he was alone in his office overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Sometimes words needed to be spoken to feel real. His assistant's voice came through the communication system. Sir, you have an urgent call from the lunar shipyards. Admiral Torres is requesting immediate conference, and we are receiving reports of Council fleet movements near the Centauri colonies. Robert closed his eyes and took a slow breath. This was the scenario they had hoped to avoid, but had spent years preparing for. Connect me to the Emergency Council. Authorization Kim Delta 7. Full encryption protocols. Within minutes, holographic figures materialized around his desk. Each one represented a key leader of Earth's government, military, or scientific establishment. Admiral Torres looked grim. President Elizabeth Hayes looked determined. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, who had designed humanity's quantum drives, looked almost eager. They said no, Robert announced without preamble. The Galactic Council has officially rejected our partnership proposal and is moving to enforce their original judgment. We have approximately 72 hours before their fleet reaches attack positions around our known colonies. The dead man switch? President Hayes asked. Still active. If Marcus does not transmit the deactivation code in 16 hours and 38 minutes, the QE hammers activate automatically. Then we let it happen, Admiral Torres said. Her voice was hard as steel. We demonstrated our willingness to negotiate. They refused. Now we show them the consequences of that refusal. We would be killing billions of sentient beings, Dr. Tanaka protested. The QE hammers are not precision weapons. If we activate even one, the quantum cascade effect could destabilize neighboring star systems. And if we back down now, we surrender everything, Torres countered. Our colonies, our technology, our freedom. Earth becomes a prison planet, and our children's children will live and die, never knowing what exists beyond our own atmosphere. President Hayes raised a hand, silencing the debate before it could escalate. Dr. Kim, you predicted a 78% probability that the Council would accept our proposal. What went wrong? Robert pulled up data displays, showing psychological profiles of each Council member. I underestimated how much they value stability over innovation. The Council is not afraid of human military power. They are afraid of human unpredictability. A species that survived multiple self-inflicted apocalypses and became stronger each time does not fit into their carefully ordered vision of how civilization should function. So they would rather destroy us than accommodate us. Hayes said. They believe they can contain us, Robert corrected. Quarantine Earth. Dismantle our colonies. Suppress our technology. In their view, it is a minor disruption that preserves the larger galactic order they have maintained for thousands of years. They are going to learn they are wrong about that, Torres said quietly. Robert looked at each holographic figure in turn. Before we commit to actions that will reshape galactic politics for centuries, everyone needs to understand what we are actually facing. The Council Enforcement Fleet comprises over 3,000 vessels. Each one is more advanced than our best ships by conventional metrics. If we fight them ship to ship, we lose. Then we do not fight them ship to ship, said Commander James Wright, head of Earth's Special Operations Division. We have been preparing asymmetric response strategies for exactly this scenario. Explain, Hayes ordered. Wright pulled up tactical displays showing the 14 colonies the Council knew about. The Council expects conventional warfare because that is all they have ever encountered. They expect us to defend our colonies, protect Earth, engage their fleets in open combat. We do none of those things. He highlighted evacuation routes and hidden assets. We evacuate all personnel from the colonies they know about. Make it appear we are surrendering those positions. Then, when their occupation forces arrive, they discover the gifts we have left behind. What kind of gifts? Tanaka asked, though her expression suggested she had already guessed. Quantum mines that do not explode immediately. They relocate to attach themselves to any vessel that comes within range. Wright brought up schematics. Self-replicating nanomachines programmed to consume military-grade alloys. Terraforming bacteria that have been genetically modified to view Council ship hulls as ideal growth environments. And several other systems our weapons development teams have created. That is not defense, someone objected. That is sabotage on a massive scale. It is asymmetric warfare, Wright corrected. The Council wants to take our colonies? They can have radiation-contaminated star systems that will cost more to decontaminate than they are worth. They want to suppress our technology? Every piece of equipment they seize will have hidden protocols that allow us to monitor their entire communications network. They want to occupy Earth? They will discover that a species which survived nuclear winter knows exactly how to make planets temporarily uninhabitable to anyone except humans, adapted to harsh conditions. The silence around the virtual conference table was profound and heavy. President Hayes spoke carefully. You are proposing we make their victory so costly that the Council retreats, even if they technically win the military engagement. I am proposing we make them understand what it means to fight a survivor species, Wright said. We do not surrender. We adapt. If they want conventional war, we give them unconventional resistance. If they think they can break us, they will learn we have already been broken multiple times and emerge stronger each time. Dr. Tanaka ran calculations on her display. The quantum mines alone would devastate their fleet cohesion. They would lose hundreds of ships before they understood the detonation mechanism. And when they do figure it out? Robert asked. By then, the nanomachines will have compromised their ability to manufacture replacement vessels, Wright said. The terraforming bacteria will have spread to every ship that visited the contaminated colonies. The Council fleet will not be destroyed in battle. It will simply stop functioning over a period of months. Admiral Torres was nodding. It is brilliant and terrible, and probably our only realistic option, given the force disparity. There is another element, Robert added quietly. Our intelligence agents embedded throughout Council space have been gathering information for years. If war begins, they do not attack military targets. They release information. Every corruption scandal we have documented, every treaty violation we have evidence of, every abuse of power the Council members have committed while maintaining the illusion of benevolent governance. We release everything simultaneously, translated into the languages of every member species. Information warfare, Hayes said. Turn the galaxy against the Council leadership. Not against the Council itself, Robert corrected. We make the member species question whether their leaders truly represent their interests. Make them wonder if perhaps humanity's offer of partnership might have been better than the Council's enforcement of hierarchy through military force. President Hayes leaned back, her expression troubled. This plan does not prevent war. It just ensures that war becomes mutually destructive. Everyone except humanity, Torres pointed out. We have already lost everything once. We rebuilt from radioactive ash. We know how to survive apocalypse. Does the Council? That question hung in the air, unanswered and heavy with implications. Finally, Hayes made her decision. Activate the contingency plans. Begin evacuating the known colonies. Prepare all defensive measures. But give the Council one final chance. Dr. Kim, prepare a message to be delivered directly to the Council of Nine, not a threat. An explanation. What kind of explanation? Tell them the truth, Hayes said. Tell them humanity learned something from surviving multiple apocalypses. We learned that sometimes the only way to protect your future is to be willing to sacrifice everything in the present. We learned that survival is not about winning every confrontation. It is about making certain your opponent understands that defeating you costs more than accepting you. She looked around at the assembled leaders, her expression resolute. Tell them we did not come to the galaxy seeking conflict. We came seeking partnership among equals. But if they insist on conflict, we will show them exactly what happens when you threaten a species that has already died and been reborn multiple times. We do not surrender. We become something more dangerous than any threat they have faced before. 6 weeks after humanity's withdrawal from galactic civilization, High Arbiter. Velmuth stood in what remained of the Council's primary enforcement fleet command center and tried to comprehend the scope of the disaster unfolding around him. How many ships remain operational? He asked, though he already suspected the answer would be devastating. Fleet Commander Greshenak consulted tactical displays, his warrior pride visibly crumbling with each data point. 47% of the fleet is completely offline. Another 30% is operating at severely reduced capacity. The nanomachine contamination has spread to our primary construction shipyards. We are losing vessels faster than we can quarantine them. And the colonies we occupied? All 14 systems were already evacuated when we arrived, Greshenak admitted. His voice carried shame that his species rarely experienced. The humans left nothing of value, except contamination protocols and defensive systems we still do not fully understand. 3 of my occupation teams remain stranded on toxic worlds, waiting for decontamination ships we do not have resources to send. Velmuth's tentacles formed shapes of profound distress. Colors rippled across his skin in patterns that expressed emotions his species had no words for. This was supposed to be a simple enforcement action. Humanity was supposed to be a minor species, barely capable of primitive interstellar travel. They were, Counselor X said, materializing in the corner of the command center. The artificial intelligence's crystalline matrix pulsed with patterns that might have been sympathy. 6 months ago, our assessment was accurate. We failed to account for their rate of adaptation under pressure. They adapted by destroying everything we sent against them without firing a single direct shot, Velmuth said bitterly. How is that even possible? X displayed holographic timelines showing the cascade of failures. Because we approached this as a military problem requiring a military solution. Humanity approached it as a survival problem requiring any solution that worked. They did not try to match our strength. They made our strength irrelevant. The hologram showed council ships investigating abandoned colonies, unknowingly carrying nanomachines back to the main fleet. Occupation forces requesting standard supplies, inadvertently spreading contamination through logistics networks. Enforcement vessels attempting to blockade human space, only to discover that human ships could travel between stars without using the gate network the blockade was designed to control. They turned our own infrastructure against us, X continued. Every ship we sent became a contamination vector. Every supply line we established became a distribution network for their weapons. Every communication relay we activated gave them access to our coordination protocols. They weaponized our organizational efficiency. And the information release? Velmuth asked quietly. That had been perhaps the worst part of the disaster. Humanity had not leaked classified military technology or scientific secrets. They had released something far more damaging to Council authority. 40 years of accumulated evidence documenting Council corruption, treaty violations, and abuse of power. Every backdoor deal that favored powerful species over weaker ones. Every time the Council had exempted influential members from rules they ruthlessly enforced on others. Every lie told to maintain the illusion of impartial governance. All of it translated into 643 languages. Broadcast through channels the Council could not block. Presented with meticulous documentation and calm factual narration. Riots on 73 Council worlds, X reported. 58 member species have filed formal protests demanding reforms. 12 have threatened complete withdrawal from Council authority. The merchant guilds are demanding independent tribunals to investigate the allegations. The situation continues deteriorating. Because the humans made us appear to be tyrants, Velmuth said. No, X corrected gently. The humans simply revealed that we had become tyrants. We did that ourselves over thousands of years of unchallenged authority. In another part of the station, Counselor Mira was having a very different conversation. Ambassador Marcus Webb sat across from her in a private meeting room, looking remarkably relaxed for someone whose species had just fought the most powerful government in the galaxy to a standstill. You understand they will never forgive this, Mira said. Her crystalline body refracted light into rainbow patterns that expressed complex emotions. The Council, I mean. You have humiliated them in front of the entire galaxy. I did not humiliate them, Marcus replied calmly. I gave them a choice between accepting reality or denying it. They chose denial. The humiliation was self-inflicted. You contaminated 30% of our enforcement capability. Thousands of vessels are non-functional. We contaminated 30% of your enforcement capability. Yes, Marcus acknowledged. And we provided complete decontamination protocols 3 days ago. Your scientists estimate full fleet recovery in approximately 6 months. Assuming you follow the procedures instead of attempting to reverse engineer the nanomachines for military applications. Myra's features shifted in a way that might have been a smile. You really did plan for every possibility. We planned for survival, Marcus said. Everything else was simply details. He leaned forward slightly. Counselor, may I ask you something? Personally, not in any official capacity? Please do. Why did you vote against the partnership proposal? Myra was silent for a long moment. Because I was afraid, she finally admitted. Not of human military power or technology. I was afraid of human philosophy. Your species looks at the universe and sees opportunities for change. Most of us look at the universe and see risks to carefully maintain stability. The Council has preserved peace for 4,000 years by being predictable, by following established patterns, by avoiding major disruptions to the galactic order. And then we arrived, Marcus said. And then you arrived, Myra agreed. A species that treats disruption as a resource to be exploited. That views predictability as weakness. That rebuilds from apocalypse and treats it as normal. You are fundamentally destabilizing to everything we have built, and I voted to contain that destabilization before it could spread. How is that working out for you? This time, Mira definitely smiled. Poorly. Which brings me to why I requested this meeting. I want to change my vote. Marcus raised an eyebrow. The Council can reconsider its decisions? If 4 members change their positions, yes. I have been speaking with Counselor Zephon and Counselor Ix. We believe we can convince the energy being. Thex, that would give us a majority for reconsidering the partnership proposal. What changed your mind? Mira gestured at the chaos visible through the room's observation windows. Protesters filled the station's public spaces, demanding council reforms. News feeds showed member species actively debating their continued participation in galactic governance. The carefully maintained order was visibly crumbling. Because you are correct, Myra said simply. The galaxy was already unstable. We simply refused to acknowledge it. You did not create this crisis. You revealed that it has been building for centuries, while we pretended everything was fine. Now that we are forced to confront reality, I would rather have humanity as a partner, helping us adapt, and as an external force accelerating our decline. 3 months later, the Galactic Council convened in emergency session. The Grand Assembly Hall was filled beyond capacity with observers from every member species. All of them had come to witness whether the ancient institution could adapt to changing circumstances or would fracture under the weight of its own rigidity. Arbiter Velmoth addressed the assembly, his tentacles forming patterns of reluctant acceptance. The Council of 9 has reviewed the partnership proposal submitted by humanity. After extensive deliberation and consultation with member species, we have reached a decision. He paused, and the chamber fell completely silent. We accept the terms of partnership. The chamber erupted. Some species cheered. Others protested loudly. But beneath the chaos ran a current of relief. The crisis had forced the galaxy to confront uncomfortable truths. But it had also opened a path forward that no one had considered possible before humanity. Arrived. Marcus Webb stood in the ambassador's circle, wearing the same simple gray suit he had worn months earlier when this crisis began. He allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. Not because humanity had won, though they had. The smile came from proving something far more important. They had proven the galaxy could change, that established powers could be challenged successfully, that new voices deserved to be heard as equals, that different approaches to civilization were not just possible, but necessary. Earth would never be the same after contact with galactic civilization. But more importantly, galactic civilization would never be the same after contact with Earth. In the observation gallery, Dr. Robert Kim sat beside Admiral Torres. Both watched the proceedings with professional satisfaction, mixed with exhaustion. Do you think they will actually honor the agreement? Torres asked quietly. Some will, Robert replied. Others will resist every reform and fight every change. But the galaxy is watching now. The illusion of council infallibility has shattered. That matters more than any specific treaty clause. And if they attempt to renege on the partnership terms? Robert smiled. Then we still have those 6 QE hammers. And now we also have 47 fully functional colonies. 73 observation posts monitoring council activities. And stealth vessels positioned throughout their space that they still do not know exist. We walked away once and proved we could survive independently. They will not risk us walking away again. Torres nodded slowly. So what happens now? Now? Robert looked out at the assembled representatives of 643 species, all of them struggling to adapt to a fundamentally changed galaxy. Now we build something new, something that preserves what the Council created that was good while fixing what they got wrong. It will not be easy or quick, but for the first time in 4,000 years, the galaxy has a genuine chance to evolve beyond simply maintaining the status quo. And humanity gets to be part of that evolution, Torres said. Not just part of it, Robert corrected. Humanity gets to help lead it. Because we are the species that looked at the most powerful government in the galaxy and said, no thank you. We will do things our own way. And somehow, impossibly, we made it work. Far across the station, in his private quarters, Marcus Webb composed a final message to Earth. It was short and direct. Exactly the kind of message that would have made his ancestors proud. Mission accomplished. Negotiations succeeded after initial failure. Returning home with a new galaxy in our diplomatic portfolio. Walking away turned out to be exactly the right strategy to get what we wanted. Humanity remains undefeated, unconquered, and now officially ungovernable by anyone except ourselves. Also, the food here is still terrible. Really looking forward to actual pizza. Arriving home in 3 months. He sent the message through quantum channels and looked out at the stars. The same stars that had watched humanity claw its way up from nuclear devastation. The same stars that now watched humanity take its place among galactic civilization. But only on humanity's own terms. The Council had tried to judge humanity and found themselves being judged instead. The galaxy had tried to fit humanity into existing categories and discovered that humanity refused to be categorized. Most importantly, the universe had tested humanity's resolve and learned that a species which had already survived its own apocalypse multiple times would never, ever surrender its right to determine its own destiny. The galaxy was still learning that lesson. But humanity had been teaching it to themselves for 10,000 years. Now, finally, the rest of the universe was ready to listen and learn. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.